Good evening. My name is Frank Heenan, and I'm a math teacher here at Lourdes. Thank you for spending the next few minutes to hear a little bit about your child's geometry honors class this year. First, just a little bit about me. This is my 6th year teaching at Lourdes. Prior to coming to Lourdes, I spent over 30 years working in the business world, primarily in information technology sales. And I like to think that experience helps me to bring somewhat of a real-world perspective to the classroom. I generally tell the kids that we're not just learning math, we are learning problem-solving skills that they can carry with them to any job that they may have in the future. I will say that geometry is a different type of math. It's been my experience that some students who are traditionally very good at math don't like geometry and may struggle a little bit at first. But the opposite is also true, that some students who have traditionally struggled with math really take a liking to geometry and just get it. I think the difference is that algebra is very procedural. You follow a series of steps, you plug numbers into a formula, you get answers, you check your answers, and you know if you're right or wrong. Geometry, on the other hand, is very conceptual. We focus more on understanding various properties and underlying concepts, and then have to apply those concepts to any number of different problems. And there may be a lot of ways to solve the same problem. Sometimes I think the hardest thing for students is knowing where to start, especially when it comes to the dreaded proof. The good news is that students generally come to appreciate geometry, and once they have their first Algebra 2 next year, they usually wish they were back in geometry. So the syllabus for the class can be found on Canvas, which is the school's learning management system. I'm sure you know by now that you as parents can access Canvas and basically see everything your student is seeing. In addition to the syllabus, there are generally class notes, daily homework assignments, quizzes, tests, and other important information. Please know that the Canvas is not a grade book, so don't look at Canvas for up-to-date quarterly averages. And this may vary by teacher, but for my class, you can use it to get a good feel for individual grades, especially on tests and quizzes. And for the first quarter, the averages that you'll see there are pretty correct. But as the year goes on, it may not always be the case. Lourdes at this point does not have an open grade book, but feel free to contact me at any time if you're concerned about grades. However, more likely, if I'm unconcerned about grades, I'll probably be contacting you. As I mentioned earlier, we focus more on deductive reasoning skills and put a much higher emphasis on deeper understanding of the content in geometry. This course is geared toward preparing students to take the geometry regents in June. As of now, I really have no idea what's going to happen with that, but we're going to move forward as if it is happening. I'll spare you and not cover each of the geometry domains, but just know that we spend a good portion of the year on the first two bullets here, congruence and similarity from a geometry perspective. So just a little bit about how grades are weighted. A good portion of the grade is based on tests, so 60% on tests, 20% on graded assignments, 15% on daily homework, and 5% on participation. We have 13 tests throughout the year, so we'll have basically 13 major tests in addition to quizzes and graded assignments. Participation, just know that from my perspective, participation is just being in class, being prepared, being attentive. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be raising your hand to answer every question. Just a quick aside on grades. A few students have asked me already about extra credit and or extra time on tests. And I've explained to them that as a department policy, there's no individual extra credit and the same on tests, no individual extra time. If I think timing was an issue on a test or there were problems with specific questions, I'll address them on a whole class level, but not on an individual basis. We mentioned homework, but homework is pretty much assigned daily in geometry. The assignment is available on Canvas. I basically check homework for completeness, not necessarily correctness. So all I ask is that they try. checking homework is a little bit of a challenge this year. Some students are doing a paper, some are doing it online. But I'll probably get better at checking homework as the year goes on. But bottom line, if you're not doing your homework, you're not going to do well on tests. So it's important they do their homework. If you're absent, it's due the next day. There's really no credit for late homework because we generally go over it the next day in class. So and I post the answers at that time. But it is 15% of the grade, and it's easy points. Graded homework and quizzes are primarily a way to prepare for the Regents. So they may come in the form of cumulative Regents reviews or maybe some online quizzes. But generally, this is something you have multiple days to do. It's generally something they can ask me questions on. So there's really no reason not to get 100 on this portion of the grade as well. As far as compass and calculators, this year a little different. You can use them at home, but not in school. So I've given them or shown them how to download a calculator to the Chromebook, or an app, I should say, so they can get a TI-84 simulated calculator on their Chromebook. Compass is a little tougher. What they're going to have to do is practice their constructions at home using a compass. And, I'll also teach them how to do it using an online tool they're using, Delta Math. But if there is a Regents this year, they have to be able to do it using their compass as well. So I would encourage them to practice their constructions at home. Extra help, again, a little bit of a challenge this year in that we're not really available before and after school for help. So I'll probably approach it from a little different of a perspective this year, maybe through the use of online videos, through Delta Math, maybe some extra assignments for some additional practice. But as I've told the students, just don't let things get out of control. If you think you're struggling, you have to reach out to me, be proactive about it, and we'll figure out a way to figure out how to help. Okay, so I've kind of emphasized this year, students need to be proactive. It's really hard for me to go after them because, I don't really see them in the halls or at lunch or before or after school. So just reach out and we'll figure out a way to get help. Next year, the course that we'll be taking is Algebra 2, either honors or Regents level. To go into honors level next year, we look for pretty much a 90 average this year and at least an 85 in the Regents. And then pretty much everyone else would go into an Algebra 2 Regents level class. So usually, the best part of that back to school night is me getting to meet parents and answering your questions. A little more difficult this year. So I look forward to meeting you at some point in the year, but just know that I'm available for questions via email, or if you'd like to talk in person, just send me an email with the best time and number at which to reach you, and we'll make that happen. Okay, so again, thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of your evening.